Hello, my name is Richard, that's Tom, this is Terrifying Tom, and this week we are discussing the 2023 film M3Gan, or Megan, if you like. So yes, as I said, we are discussing the 2023 film, the first film on our list that's actually current and new. Now, this was a lot more current and new when we went to go see it. Don't think it's actually in cinemas anymore.
Still in cinemas.
Is it still in cinemas?
Still in, yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, regardless, spoilers for the film Megan. Obviously, if you haven't seen
absolutely go and see the film first before you listen to us. As much as we like people listening to the show, we don't want to ruin the film for you.
Yeah, just obviously, spoilers. It is a brand new film out. So bit of a difference for us this time.
I enjoyed this one.
I wanted to go for a kind of a current film as well, because I don't want to just do all of the old ones. I want to look at some of the more recent horror films and things like that as well. And this was one that just pricked my interest, so to speak. How best to describe it? It's basically child's play for Generation Z, right?
That's a pretty good way to put it. I mean, that's the first thought when I saw the trailer for the first time. We did talk about this before. I don't know if you saw the Child's Play remake that came out a few years ago.
I didn't know, but I did hear
very similar to this in terms of the way Chucky's portrayed in that film.
Localized by Mark Hamill as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Luke Skywalker is
the Joker as well.
From the animated Batman
series. So he's not,
he's a man of many talents. It seems. Yeah.
So that was the first thought when I saw the trailer was Child's Play.
Yeah,
the remake is very similar in terms of modern technology.
Yeah, it's Child's Play brought into the new, the current century, the new technological wave that we have. So we'll get into it a little bit, but a brief synopsis about the film, so you'll see what we're talking about. A robotics engineer at a toy company builds a lifelike doll that begins to take on a life of its own. So, not exactly the same premise, not a possessed doll, but it's Child's Play meets Terminator.
Yes, that's definitely, that was exactly what I was going to mention at some point in this podcast. Terminator is everything that immediately comes to mind, and a machine that will not stop until it's achieved its objective. Yeah,
and its objective in this film is to keep a little girl
protected
from all harm, basically, and whether if that means I have to kill all the people you love to keep you safe, then I will. It stars Allison Williams, Violet McGraw, and Ronny Chieng. So who's
that's right.
I heard some not bad things, but a lot of people were questioning his role in a horror film. I thought it was actually quite an inspired role, to be honest with you.
Ronny Chieng. I thought he was probably maybe the best character in the film.
Yeah,
certainly the funniest.
He good comic relief.
He was the character in the film. I spent the whole time. I've seen him before. I can't remember what it was in. He was in Young Rock.
It's directed by Gerard Johnstone, and it was released on the 13th of January 2023. So very, very modern as we were. We'll get into some of the other statistics and the ratings a little bit later on, but let's just talk about your first impressions of the film. We did a brief mini episode which should go up before this one, which you should hear immediately after we came out of the cinema, just discussing our initial thoughts on this film. But just after it's marinated a little while, what do you think?
I remember when I first saw the trailer, and it was one of those trailers you laugh at because you think that's supposed to be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just hilarious, the trailer, the first time I saw it. And the online discussion was pretty much the same until it came out, and it started to get a little bit more positive reviews and stuff. And I thought, okay, well, give this film, it just sounds all right. And I really enjoyed this film. I don't think it takes itself too seriously, and I think that's a good thing, really.
I'd say that's a really good way to describe it.
Yeah.
It knows what it is and it leans into it very well.
That's it, yeah. I mean, if you look at some of the scenes in this film, they're funny. The people in the theatre who were watching it were laughing at some of the scenes.
Yeah.
But not because, LOL, this film is bad. More like, LOL, this is funny.
It's very self-aware.
Yeah, it's genuinely funny, and
Yeah, it knows what it is. It leans into that fact quite well, and it does have some like slightly ridiculous scenes, but I think that they work in the whole grand scheme of the film. You know, when a toy is basically the enemy of a film, you can't take it too seriously.
No.
So, but it wasn't ridiculous for its own reason either. So yeah, I would agree with that. I actually hadn't seen any trailers for it whatsoever. My first encounter with it was just watching YouTube. And sometimes on YouTube I watch film criticisms and critiques and stuff like that. And this M3Gan film kept popping up, and I was like, what the hell is this? And I just watched it, and one of the reviews was talking about how like it's AI gone amok basically, and the subtle societal messaging behind the film as well, which we'll get into a little bit later on. But I just saw it and I thought this actually looks like it might be okay. Actually, I just thought, and on this, like I said on the podcast, I wanted to try and get some modern films in there as well, and this was the first horror film that pretty much had come out since we started doing this podcast. I think maybe the last Halloween film,
maybe Nope as well.
I don't know. I think Nope came a little bit earlier than this podcast, didn't it?
I'm not sure when we started, but yeah, Halloween definitely.
Yeah, we could have done the Halloween, but I've got plans. I've got plans for the Halloween films. Don't worry. So
it was not good.
Wait, we'll discuss that when we get to the Halloween films. But yeah, so as I said, this film is basically about a woman who works at a toy factory, and her sister and her sister's husband, her brother-in-law, die in a car accident with their daughter in the car. So she has to now take care of her niece. And this woman seems like an adult child.
Yeah, she definitely isn't prepared for this circumstance.
No.
I mean, yeah, obviously.
I mean, I don't know who could be, but yeah,
but
she seems like she's very not in the position to have children.
No, I mean, if something like this happened, for example, you would think that you would be prepared for her when she came home.
You'd think so,
and she doesn't seem to be prepared at all. Like,
but I guess it all depends on how quickly it happened.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about this more in a scene that's coming up, because this scene I find quite comical for that reason. But we'll discuss it a little bit more coming up. But it seems to happen very quickly. But so you see the parents die in a car crash, and you see her at work now building M3Gan basically, and like she's trying to put on a display for her boss, and it goes horribly wrong, and he's pissed because he didn't authorize this project at all. He asked for something else. She hasn't been working on that. She's now gone and she's built this really expensive doll. Now in that scene, it seems like they're having a lot of problems with the doll initially.
Yeah.
And they said something that I thought was a bit of a Chekhov's gun, but didn't come up again in the entire film. So I was a little bit... So the reason that she freaked out and it goes wrong and she breaks and she sets on fire, basically, was because that they didn't put like an inhibitor chip or something in her head, into the system. He said, I forgot to put the blah, 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 blah in.
Right.
The Dujamahiki. And I thought that Dujamahiki was going to be the Chekhov's gun. It turns out there was another Chekhov's gun later on. But yeah, I thought that this was going to be the thing that kind of went awry, and that's what led her to become a psychopath. But it never comes up again. But yeah, and then she obviously finds out that her sister's been in the accident, and now she knows to take care of her niece. So I'm saying I don't know how long between those two events happened, because they don't live in the same state, it seems. So her sister lives in like Seattle,
right?
And then she lived in California, in like the Silicon Valley kind of area.
Okay. Well, I don't remember that at all, but I'll take your word for it.
So she said that she'd been off. She had to take a week off work to go for the funeral and all the arrangements and everything like that. And obviously, the child was left to her in. Not left to her like a fucking car or something.
If you're a godparent, right?
Yeah.
If anything happens to...
Well, yeah, if anything happens, then you put forward who you would like to have custody of the child. Yeah, but it's not like, you know, oh, here's my antique coin collection, I'm leaving it to you kind of thing. But yeah, so she's left with the child now, and the child comes home with her, and she doesn't know what to do. She's a little bit, ooh, what do I do, and everything like that. And then...
very much focused on her career.
Yeah, it's very career driven. Yeah, she doesn't want it. And then
her niece.
We get introduced to the first victim of M3Gan.
Ah, right, yeah. I mean, there wasn't many like characters in this film I outright hated. I think Allison has her flaws, definitely. Not Allison, sorry, Gemma. The actress who plays her is called Allison.
You've written down the character names.
Yeah.
Man, you're more prepared than I am.
Gemma is the main woman in this film, played by Alison Williams, who was in Get Out. So she was the most recognisable person in this film for me. She's very flawed. She's not used to, well, she's not, prepared for. What do you think is the name of the little girl? Yeah, that's what I thought, Katie.
Yeah.
Turns out, no, her name is Cady.
Oh, it is Cady.
Cady.
That's actually her name?
Yeah.
I thought it was like American pronunciation. You know how they don't pronounce their T's, they pronounce them as D's?
Yeah, Cady. I thought it was Katie for the whole film.
I thought it was Katie. Oh, okay, yeah. Cady, what a weird name.
Yeah, so anyway, going off track.
If you are named Cady, I apologise.
Sorry, it's a very American.
But as a British ear, when you hear Americans say T's, they tend to say them as D's. So for me, I thought it was just Katie, but like Cady,
Cady, yeah.
So it is actually Cady.
Yeah, okay. I mean, obviously, Alison Williams' character is a little bit unprepared for her being there, and
talking about the dog.
The dog, yeah. Sorry, I've gone fully off track. More career driven, as we know. So she's a little bit hateable in this movie, I guess, even though she's trying to do the right thing for the movie. I think that the main villain in this, other than M3Gan, obviously, is the next door neighbour and the dog. Yeah,
but weirdly so. Like the first interaction, she didn't strike me as much of a psychopath, crazy cat lady kind of thing. She didn't really strike me as that. She just struck me as like the next door neighbour that didn't quite understand boundaries. You know?
Kind of.
But I think in that interaction, what was Alison's name? What was it? Gemma. I think she comes off more as the bitch.
She doesn't get the fence fixed, does she? The gate.
No,
the fence. It's not fixed.
But then, whose responsibility? You get it fixed if you want to fix it.
True. Yeah.
But then, I mean, it's just a fence. I mean, the dog could run round the fence anyway. It's got nothing to do with the fucking fence being there. I mean,
we'll get to it later. But I'm usually not up for dogs dying in films.
I like it when the dogs die in films.
I know.
Not because I don't like dogs, but because I think it shows balls from the director to make that decision to kill an animal.
Hey, one of the greatest films of all time, there's a dog that dies, so I'm not gonna.
There's no dogs in Jurassic Park.
No, Terminator 2.
Oh, Woofy.
Yeah.
Poor Woofy.
The dog dies in Jurassic Park Lost World.
Oh yeah, gets eaten, doesn't it, by the T-Rex? Yeah. But anyway, we're not here to talk about dogs in films. But yeah,
John Wick.
Oh, that's the whole purpose for the film.
Yeah. The first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's maybe why that was a good film. That's why I liked it so much, because, it killed the dog quickly. Anyway,
fair enough.
yeah, I think that she comes off as kind of the bitch in this scene. Because, I get that she's just lost her sister and she's like, I don't know, it seems to me like that's the only family she had left. And then apart from Katie,
I think
I get it's stressful, but I don't know. She just came off as a bit of a bitch.
plus we don't really see her mourn her sister or her husband.
No,
don't really see.
It's just kind of like, well, that was really
any sort of emotion. I don't think there's a scene where she cries. That you can correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, maybe one from pain, but I don't remember her actually crying.
Yeah, there doesn't do much emotion. Like maybe that's what we didn't see in the film, but that might have been a bit nicer, maybe. But then that doesn't, show us the portrayal of Gemma in this film.
No.
Not being prepared and being more career driven than anything else.
But she just seems like it's all a big annoyance.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I've really got to do some work now. So can you just watch TV?
How inconsiderate that your mum died and left you with me.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
Yeah, it's very weird. But and then I'm led to from the timings. This is the scene that I wanted to talk about. From the timings, it seems to me it's like literally the next day. Like,
probably not.
Yeah, it's probably not, but it seems to me like it's literally the next day, and she's like getting ready to go back to work, and then the child psychologist or something comes around.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
who again in this scene comes off as a bitch.
Who, the psychologist?
The psychologist.
I don't know. I think. These scenes were probably this scene is one of the most uncomfortable scenes in the whole film for me. Just like when she comes around and she's just sitting there observing them together.
Yeah,
it's like especially I think when her mum and dad just died as well. It's a little bit harsh. I get what you're saying. It just came off more uncomfortable than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it will be uncomfortable to be in that situation for sure. Just someone sitting there staring at you, watching you, how you interact with this child. And it's like, I've literally had her for a day. So, like, get off my fucking back. And she's like, oh, yeah, well, there's not a lot to do in this house, is there? It's like, it's been a fucking day, woman. Like, what am I supposed to fucking do? Give me a chance, man. Like, this is why I was saying that, because it feels like, I mean, you don't see how much passage of time has gone. It literally like, okay, well, you go to bed now. I don't know how to read a story. Here's my tablet. Fuck around on my tablet or something, all right, now you're going to cry yourself to sleep, and then we wake up in the morning and now, bitch, I got to go to work. And then this fucking psychologist comes around and she's like, well, why is your house not better set up for this kid? It's like, it's been one day, bitch. And then you have the collectibles. What person in this day and age doesn't know what a fucking collectible is? And she's looking at her like, you have toys that you don't play with. That's so weird.
A little bit odd. How old was this counsellor anyway?
And she looked like the same age as like this. Yeah, she looked like some 20s, 30s.
I don't really understand that.
But she like come round to this person's house and she's just like, bitch, you better fucking let her play with your toys, And then she's like, maybe let her decide how she wants to play with it. And it's like, I would have been like, don't talk to me in my own fucking house like this. I don't give a shit who you are. You can't come round my house and talk to me like a cunt.
They should have taken her away there. She's done that.
I'm pretty sure I could have put in a complaint about, like, well, she's got a fucking attitude problem, man. I mean, she came around my house and started not telling me how to look after a child. No, just basically saying, you're a fucking idiot, shut up. Like,
it does seem a little bit hard.
That's one character I really wanted to die in this film, but she didn't. And also, you thought she was going to as well at one point. Like when Megan comes up later on, she's like, "You made her cry." That wasn't my intention.
Yeah.
And yet here we are. I thought, "Oh, bitch, gonna get it," but she never did. Never did. Never fucking saw her again. But yeah, I couldn't believe that. I thought that was ridiculous when she just came around and started talking to her like a bitch, like literally the day after like we got home. It's like
I'm gonna make a prediction, a guess here that she did die in the film, but the scene was cut.
You reckon? Yeah, I mean,
because I did read something about that. It was supposed to be a more violent film, and I had to.
I'm guessing they wanted to, get teams and that in, didn't they? That was it, yeah.
So I'm gonna. I'm not 100% sure, but that's just a prediction.
I think that makes sense as well, because like she's in this film for like a few scenes, and she's not. It's not like The Room, where these people are in here and you're like, what the fuck are you even doing here? Who are you? And then they disappear and you're just like, okay, fine, whatever. It's more like, I don't know, she seems like not an integral part of the story, but she seems like a big character within the story. You know, like she's adding the friction that makes
between Allison and between Gemma and Katie.
Yeah. She adds the friction that makes Gemma want to, like, oh, I need to do something to prove that, no, everything's cool, everything's fine, don't worry about it. This is a good house for a child and stuff like that, yeah. So she seems to add that friction. So not integral, but important, I would say. So it does make sense that perhaps she would be killed, because otherwise she just disappears and you never fucking see her again.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, anyway, yeah, this bitch eventually fucks off.
She certainly drives you more potty than she did me, I tell you. Didn't really make a dent.
Do you know what it was? It was the thought of this woman just coming into my house when I literally, the day after I've had this child. So I haven't had any time to do anything. It's like, bitch, I have just got fucking home. What do you expect me to do in the 8 hours it's been? Like, do you want me to build a fucking tree house in like that 8 hours? You know?
I don't think it was realistic, was it? But, they had to do something in the film to, show that she's not prepared.
Yeah. And then it was like, well, this collectible, and it's like, okay, yeah, well, we'll damage the box and we'll get it out. And I'd be like, well, surely everyone knows what a collectible is in this day and age. And then after that, it was like, she's just rolling this thing along the floor. So she doesn't know how it works. So then she goes to explain it and says, oh, it actually opens up into a robot. And then this bitch is like, maybe let her decide how she wants to play. And it's like, bitch, maybe she doesn't know how the fucking thing works. So I'm trying to teach her. That's like putting someone in front of a computer and going, you just decide what you want to do. Bang, 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 bang. Oh, well, yeah, you can actually, no. Let them decide how they want to use the computer. It's like, right, well, the computer can do a lot more than you're actually asking it to, but you don't necessarily know. So, I don't know. She just really, really rubbed me up the wrong way. I would have liked to have seen her die.
Well, maybe you might do in a director's cut. Just cut.
Yeah, that would be good. I'd watch that. But, yeah, so then we move forward, and you see that Katie is having a little bit of trouble settling in still, but Gemma?
Yep.
Gemma wants to still do her work and stuff like that. So she's like, you sit here and entertain yourself. I'm going to go in this room for a few hours to try and design this new thing because I've got deadlines. Always deadlines.
Real life.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they've got deadlines for this, for instance. So then, yeah, she basically leaves her to it and goes off and starts designing this new thing that her boss told her that she had to do. And Katie walks in and she's like, oh, shit, has it really been that long? Sorry, dude, totally forgot. Time slipped away, got this deadline and shit, And then they see Bruce.
Good old Brucey.
Which is the Chekhov's gun that did pay off. Not as much as I would have liked it to, but it paid off. But yeah, Bruce is basically this robot that Gemma's built previously that can be controlled with like movements and gloves, and it does what you do basically. And then she's explaining how it works to Katie, and Katie's like, this is so cool, oh my god, if I had a toy like this I would never be alone again, it's great. And this gives Gemma the spark to create M3Gan, which is the scene I want to come back to. So she was in a state-of-the-art toy designing laboratory trying to design this robot, couldn't get it right. Yet she manages to knock it out in one evening in her fucking garage.
Motivation for your dedication.
I just found that strange.
Inspiration.
It's like, oh, we couldn't get it to work in this really primarily designed environment for it, but no, I can knock it up in a couple of hours in my garage. It's fine, don't worry about it.
I just think sometimes it just happens, you know. You get the inspiration to do something and you do it. You can't explain that, you know.
But anyway, M3Gan is brought to life. She's born into the world, and she decides that fuck what my boss wanted me to do. This is the toy we need to release. This is the one that the world needs.
This incredibly cuddly toy.
Yeah. Made of like rubber and aluminium, basically.
Yeah.
No, titanium, sorry. It's made of titanium.
We'll come back into that later, I'm sure.
And yeah, so she sets up a meeting the next day, a display in front of her boss, basically saying, I know what you wanted me to do, but listen, shut the fuck up. I know better than you, all right? She brings Katie into this room and she's like, I got a new friend for you. And then she brings out M3Gan, who's the, you know, yay high, little robot girl, blonde hair. You've all seen the pictures, I'm sure. And her and Katie hit it off like a house on fire straight away. And the boss is like, this is amazing.
I mean, not at first, but yeah, eventually he does come around, doesn't he?
Yeah. Like, eventually he's like, what the fuck? I told you what to fucking do. And then afterwards he's like, this is the best fucking thing ever. Like, every kid wants this toy. And how much does it cost?
A lot.
What was it? Something like $60,000 or something like that? Who the fuck's going to be able to afford that?
Rich parents.
Yeah, but
not everybody.
Yeah, like
it's not
this is
the most accessible toy, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, all right, well, we might sell 10, you know, but you're never going to be able to mass market it. It's just way too expensive. And he was moaning that things were expensive, but now all of a sudden he's like, this is the must-have toy. Everyone needs to have this toy. But yeah, so he says, like, we got to get this in front of the board. We got to get it in front of the CEO. Now, he's a bastard. He hates spending money, but he's sentimental, and he's got a kid or something around this bitch's age. I don't know. Do that. What you just did in there, do that on this meeting. So, and now the whole film is basically building up to this meeting, and it's like, oh, you said that M3Gan is paired with Katie now, right? And he's like, yeah, that's right. That's how it works. He's like, right, get them. Those two need to spend as much time together as possible so that they build this relationship and they build this rapport so that when it comes to the meeting, everything's going to be like, oh, tears, waterworks. Oh, my God, everything's going to be great.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that this meeting sets up basically the rest of the film. So now Katie and M3Gan start spending all this time together, start bonding.
Like best friends, coming up with dance moves. And coming up with like all these games and plans and stuff like that, and then Gemma, I keep having a problem with that. I keep wanting to call her. You got it right.
I keep wanting to call her Jallison for some reason. So Jallison is now leaning heavily into M3Gan. M3Gan can pick up all of the slack that I don't really want to do. You know, do you know that, 70% of a parent's time is spent repeating the same phrases over and over again, you know? Well, now I can get M3Gan to do it, and M3Gan can just do all the parenting.
Studies indicate that a staggering 78% of a parent's time is spent dishing out the same basic instructions.
Oh my God, Katie, you have to flush the toilet. It is not that hard.
So we found someone else to pick up the slack.
Katie, flush the toilet. Wash your hands. Roll up your sleeves. Great job. It was my friend Jenny's birthday.
M3Gan's an excellent listener.
And this guy told them that the 13th floor was haunted.
And she even has a few stories of her own.
If it was so, it might be. And if it were so, it would be. But as it isn't, it ain't. That's logic.
Said Tweedledee.
She'll never run out of ways to keep your child occupied, and she'll never run out of patience.
Katie, seriously, flush the toilet.
With M3Gan around, she'll take care of the little things, so you can spend more time doing the things that matter.
Yeah, I mean, there's one bit in the film which I also think is reminiscent of Terminator, where she's reading the bedtime story to Katie, but in a different voice.
Oh, yeah. How's Woofy?
Yeah. And then we see that come into play later on as well.
Yeah.
It's basically like Terminator.
That would freak me out. Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between someone doing impressions and a totally different voice. I mean, I would not expect a little, 10-year-old girl to be able to do a full man's voice. Like, that would freak me out. And the way oh my God, the way that she charges as well, where she just sits on a pad in the corner of your room, just staring at you. Oh my God, that would terrify me.
Creepy, yeah.
As a 10-year-old, I'd be terrified of that. I'd be like, oh, I don't like it. Anything life-sized. I don't want anything life-sized in my vicinity.
Yeah.
Like all these people that collect life-size, like, I don't know, like Daleks or life-size stormtrooper outfits, and I don't know, people who have like coats of arms and suit of armor. That's the word. No, I wouldn't want any of that. A helmet, yeah, that's fine. I don't mind a helmet. I'd have a helmet on like a display or something like that. But a full suit of armor, nah, man. Anything life-sized. Yeah. So M3Gan and Katie start spending all this time together. Allison is, just like I said, kind of checking out, letting M3Gan basically become more of the parent. And then one of Allison's co-workers points out that maybe that's not the best idea, maybe and here I think we start getting into the societal commentary of this film, where parents allow tablets and phones and TVs to basically raise their kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's where this film starts to comment on that maybe that's not the healthiest idea, just letting you not doing any of the work and basically just letting electronics do all of the babysitting for you. What do you make of that? Do you think that?
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. Definitely, I think there's a message in that sense. Yeah, I mean, I think there has to be a mix. You can't obviously go out all the time with your kids and do productive stuff. It's just not how the world works, is it? But there are a lot of times where you'll have to. Yeah,
I think but I think the main difference comes in is that where a tablet isn't going to murder everyone in my family.
That's true.
But it's obviously taking it to the extreme. But yeah, I think that's basically what this film was trying to get at, wasn't it? Was that maybe don't let electronics raise your children, maybe have a little bit more input in what they do, maybe limit the amount of time they spend with them.
Yeah.
And this basically comes up again a little bit later on with the bitch, who basically says that, they seem to have formed a very strong emotional attachment, like Katie. I mean, obviously she's a robot. She can't form emotional attachments.
M3Gan's the robot.
Yeah, M3Gan's the robot. Yeah, what I meant is Katie's made the strong emotional connection
to a robot.
And that's very difficult to break apart. And yeah, you ever seen a kid take a tablet away from a kid and you'll see.
I mean, we see when, she goes out with her school or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not going without them."
Yeah.
She hasn't really made friends.
Yeah,
with other kids,
and it's like it's become like a security blanket as well. Like I need to, she needs to be with me doing everything. And then, then the problems start coming in. Is like, I said no, and she's like, I don't care what you said. M3Gan's like, and then M3Gan starts chiming in every now and again with the parenting advice, like the whole telling kids what they can eat and what they can't eat in their childhood will often lead to them not liking those foods as adults.
True.
And then she was like, "Shut up, M3Gan."
You have to eat the toppings, Katie, not just the bread. You just did the one thing I asked you not to do.
Research shows that if you force a child to eat vegetables, then they'll be less likely to choose those foods as adults.
Is that so?
Yes. Experts say the preferred method is to give your child the choice. It's called the division of responsibility.
But yeah, so then we start to see the turn when the comment of Katie's parents dying comes up, and Megan activates and is like, what happened to her parents? They must like, whoa, what the fuck? You're not supposed to be on and shit like that. So you start to see the roots that maybe she can overpower her programming a little bit, you know, or misinterpret certain things.
Yeah.
She doesn't turn off all the time when you tell her to turn off now and stuff like that. And then that's when she's been told, look, you're not here to ask questions. You're here to protect Katie from emotional and physical harm. And then that's, yeah. Generic orders to AI is not a good idea. Like, you know, just, yeah, keeping it as bland as possible. No, always, it's like genies. It's like genies or monkey's paws. If you're making a wish, make it specific as hell.
Yeah.
Make it super specific so that nothing could possibly go wrong. You know, because like in the new Aladdin remake, he's like, well, you know, there's a lot of wiggle room in that. I mean, you know, I can make you a prince. You know, there's one over there, you know, or do you want me to make you a prince? You know, like, make it more specific, you know.
Right, I see.
Or that Simpsons episode where Homer orders the sandwich. And I don't, but no, zombie turkey.
Yeah.
It's a little dry. It's a little dry. You have to specify a moist turkey sandwich with no zombie turkeys.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, so that's where the order comes in, and that's where the problems start to begin. They start to creep in, and then the violence starts, and we get the first victim of Megan, where they're playing with bows and arrows. I think she's playing with a bow and arrow. What is it? That's right, isn't it? Yeah, because she shoots it at the window, and Megan's all like, whoop. But she's lost an arrow, and it turns out it's gone through the hole in the fence. The aforementioned hole in the fence.
Yes.
Specifically that hole. And Megan reaches through to try and get the arrow, and who should appear but the horrible, monstrous dog? And it attacks them. It attacks what it basically thinks is a little girl.
Yeah.
It doesn't know it's a robot, but it attacks this little girl, starts mauling her, and then Katie's like, "No, Megan, no!" She's like, "Let it go!" And then she puts her hand through to try and get Megan free, and the dog just clamps into her arm, and you hear this blood-curdling scream, and then it all kicks off and everything, and then Katie's hurt, and Allison is yelling at the neighbour about the dog, and then the police get involved, and she's like, I want that dog put down. And
I mean, to be fair, it's a violent dog, you know. Why is this dog attacking people?
so this was my first. I don't know what the rules are like in America, and I'm guessing that each state has different rules and stuff like that, because they usually have different rules, don't they? But in this country, there are no, it doesn't have a history of violence. It's like, no, the first time it shows violent tendencies, boom, it's done. It's gone. It is put down. It is terminated. There are no second chances. Whereas in this film, it's like, well, it's never had a history of violence before, so, you know, this is its first warning. And it's like,
Yeah, but for the purposes of the film, the dog has to stay alive.
I mean, to be fair, it does get put down pretty quickly soon after that. Like, what, that night?
Well, yeah, but not, you know what I mean.
But yeah, so this is where Megan is looking at Katie in bed, and she's like reading her vital signs, and it's like, you know, anxiety up, and
stress,
like stress, and heart rate and body temperature is rising, and she's like, I didn't protect her from harm. That will never happen again. And then this is where we get the next Terminator scene, yeah?
Yep.
We'll talk us through it.
Well, when she she puts on the voice of the next door neighbour, right?
Creepy as well.
To call over the dog through the fence.
Yeah.
Which
got like a robotic intonation to it as well.
Yeah, true.
It's like when you hear like someone talking on the phone and you have that kind of noise.
Yeah. I mean, we can instantly tell as watching the film that it's not the next door neighbour. It's Megan putting on a voice to sound like her. But obviously the dog wouldn't know that, I imagine.
And the dog comes running.
Yeah.
And then
it's violent end. We never really see what happened to the dog, do we?
No, we don't see what happens, but we know where the dog is buried.
Do we?
Yeah, she says later on it's 3 feet underground, 100 yards from here. You know?
Okay.
So Megan kills the dog, and then she buries the body, and then this is where I think she probably starts wiping her memories and her hard drive and stuff like that herself, because we see later on that she's been doing that.
Yeah.
But you would have thought that this is probably where she started doing that, right? Because she's got to think, I'm not going to get away with killing a dog, right? I mean,
surely a robot will know that, though, right? Does a robot know about the existence of the police?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's going to be arrested.
Yeah.
Well, not arrested. A robot
arrested. Yeah, but
you know what I mean.
But yeah, and then the next morning, the policeman knocks again, doesn't he? He's like, "Have you seen her dog?" And it's like, "No, I haven't. What's going on?" And then the next door neighbours. This is where she goes full crazy.
Yeah.
She starts screaming at her and like, "Oh, that other little girl who's looking out the window," and stuff like that. And she's like, "It's not a girl, it's a toy." And the police officer's like, "Cool."
Yeah.
But yeah, this is where it begins. And then, we just get the discussions about the meeting and blah, 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 blah. And, some more little bonding / inclinations that things aren't quite going. Like, she stops turning off when she's being told to.
Yeah.
And she starts not defying, but like maybe stepping over some lines a little bit and things like that. But basically, we're just setting up the groundwork for the next part of where things start to escalate. I think,
of course,
with the school trip that you mentioned. Yeah. So this is a scene that's in the advert, in the trailers, in the woods.
Oh, right.
Yeah, where she's running on all fours.
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, so Katie has to go to school, and Allison is trying to convince her, like, you've got to go to school, it's been too long now, we need to start getting you into school. And Katie's like, I don't want to go if Megan's not going to go. And Allison's like, it's a fucking toy, it's not allowed to go with you. In fact, it shouldn't even be out of the house because it's like top secret and stuff like that. And then Katie's like, fuck you, bitch, I ain't doing nothing without Megan, you ain't shit, you ain't my real mum. And then eventually Allison gives in, like all parents do, and says, "Fine, we'll take the fucking doll, Jesus Christ." So they go to this place, and it's a school, but is it? I mean,
it's just a trip, isn't it?
It just looks like a school trip or a camp or activity thing on the weekend, activity club or something. I mean, supposedly it's a school, but I don't know. And then we meet possibly the best character in this film.
Yeah.
Who's a sweet boy.
He's a sensitive
lad. Yeah. Fuck off, Chieng.
Yeah.
Brennan, honey, are you warm enough? Do you need your hat? Fuck off, Holly.
But he's clearly the school bully.
Yeah.
And
the Nelson Muntz of this film.
Maybe a little bit worse than Nelson Muntz. I mean, he seems very violent.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, unprovoked violence. It's like serial killer kind of vibes.
Yeah,
from him, really.
futural.
Yeah, futural. Futural serial killer. Right, yeah.
Thankfully, that doesn't materialise.
Potential rapist as well. I got the vibes.
Yeah, there's one particular scene where I think something worse is going to happen than it actually does. But thankfully, he's just a kid, so he hopefully doesn't know about rape.
I don't know, man. He seems pretty old and developed.
Yeah, but as I said, we never get to see him as a future serial killer. Anyway.
No, not a futural serial killer. No, unfortunately, that's a sequel we should have got. But anyway, so yeah, he's paired with Katie,
of course,
and Megan is in amongst all of the other toys, you bring your
like
toy.
that ET scene where
he's in with all of the cuddly toys,
similar to that.
Yeah, and so Katie's off in the woods with futural serial killer, and are they collecting like? It's basically like conkers or acorns or some crap like that, isn't it? Yeah. And then all of a sudden he starts like getting a little bit violent. Yeah, no, it's like a conker or horse chestnut or something because it's got the spiky thing, isn't it? Right. And then he grabs her hand and he's like squeezing her hand into it, isn't it? Yeah. Which would hurt him just as much as her, right? Because I mean, those things are spiky.
He's a badass, so he can take the pain. Yeah,
I feel no pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then Megan obviously wakes up and. I mean, she sensed that something was going wrong anyway because she's got like facial recognition and like emotions come up in like the faces, like the percentage of like what's going on. Mm-hmm. She determines that this kid, this futural serial killer, is out for some shit.
She feels Katie's pain.
Yeah,
not quite, but you know what I mean.
So then all of a sudden she just appears there, and he's like, get her to do stuff. Tell her to do stuff and stuff like that, and then he's like, fuck this, and he pushes Katie to the ground and runs over and grabs Megan and runs off into the woods with her.
That's right. Yeah.
And then like Katie's freaking out, and then Allison looks at the toys and she's like, "Oh shit, son!" And then she's like running off like to try and find where they are, but they're in the woods. No one knows where anyone is. And then futural serial killer throws her on the ground, and then this is where the scene where both of us thought, because he starts stripping her, and we thought, he's going to start doing some weird shit here, because he takes like off her shoe, and he's like, throws it away, and I thought he was going to like start taking off her tights and stuff. Fortunately, he didn't, but he does climb on top of her, which is weird, but then starts like punching her face, right?
Yeah, just
which is titanium. So surely that would hurt, right?
Yeah, but for the purposes of the scene, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But he's a badass.
He feels no pain, does he? Yeah, we just established that. Sorry, yeah. Broken hands mean nothing to me. Yeah. And then, so he goes, he's like, starts wailing on her, and then all of a sudden, Megan wakes up, grabs his ear, starts
ripping it,
pulling his ear off. Like stretching it right out,
that's nasty,
and then rips his ear off. This is another Chekhov's gun. So, and then she's like, and then she gets up in a really weird, creepy manner, and then she's like, "This is the part where you run."
Yeah,
and he runs screaming, and then she goes down onto all fours and starts chasing him. And to be fair, she doesn't actually kill him.
No, she does not. No. But she leads to his death.
Yeah. She chases him to the edge of the road. He trips, falls into the road, and a car comes along and wallops him. Futural serial killer. The sequel we never got, never happened. And then Megan just like looks on at the blood stains on the road, and it's like, get the fuck out of here. And then we cut to like the ambulance is there and the police are all trying to find out what went wrong and what's happening and everything like that.
I mean, it's a shame because he was such a sensitive young boy.
He was, fuck you, Tom. So here's my question to you at this point right here. So we've had this discussion before with, I think, The Conjuring, where I was like, at what point do you say GTFO? Like, so you've I mean, I guess that you wouldn't necessarily make these connections, but as Jallison, is there any point where you would be before now? I mean, I think that this is the point where I would start to be like, like, I don't know the dog's dead, but I know that the dog attacked Katie and now it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, it's never gone before, and all of a sudden it's gone now. It's a bit weird. And now I've taken her to this school, and now this kid's died. Like, literally within a few days of each other. Like, they're not, these instances aren't months apart. It's literally within a few days. Would you not start to be a little bit, not necessarily about about McGraw, but like maybe Katie? Like, her parents are dead. Maybe she's got like a little bit of a.
I mean, in a realistic situation, I think that at this point, Katie and McGraw would be separate.
Katie's got some weird psychological stuff going on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily.
I mean, McGraw would be taken in by the police as evidence.
You think so, right?
Yeah.
Because he ran off with her.
Yeah.
So they know that happened.
Do they know that happened?
Well, yeah, because Katie says.
Oh, okay, she does say it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She says he ran off with her, McGraw, into the woods.
Yeah, and realistically, she would be taken away into.
You think so, right? Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I would definitely start questioning shit at this point.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
Things are happening to Katie, and then these things that are hurting her have all of a sudden gone away. Now,
at this point, you have to wonder: did Katie kill her parents?
Ooh,
we know that she didn't.
Or do we? Was that just it from her point of view?
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
Maybe this whole film is like a Jacob's Ladder kind of thing, and like she's the real killer, but she's blaming it all on McGraw.
There you go. That's what's got the sequel's going to be.
Hey, that's a twist right there. Like, she's the one going around killing everyone, but she's like, it wasn't me. It was the butterfly.
Yeah, all of this is in her head.
Yeah,
the whole dance.
Oh yeah,
all that.
It's just her and the whole
just her imagination.
But yeah, I mean, I would definitely be at this point going, okay, this is slightly odd. Like, I mean, I guess I built the robot, so I'm certain in my abilities to state that no, this robot cannot harm other people. I'm very aware of that fact. So
there's a lot of money on the line here.
Yeah, but I would definitely be worrying about Katie.
Yeah,
I'd be like, okay, that's two things that have affected her that have just died. Is she okay? Like, is she doing something? Is she like a little bit?
Yeah.
That's what I would be thinking at this point right now. I mean, because these things have happened so close together. That's all. But anyway, we move on. Where do we move on to? Where do we go?
Presentation?
I mean,
does that come down? Yeah.
You get some stuff before the presentation, don't you? Do you? No. Maybe no. I think the presentation does come first, doesn't it? Yeah, the presentation comes, and then
because at the start of the presentation, Katie is upset.
She just starts crying, doesn't she?
About her parents, right?
Yeah, and then the ones she killed. I didn't mean to kill them. But she doesn't think she killed them. That's the thing. She thinks that the snowplow killed them. But really, it was her.
Yeah, totally.
It was the snowplow, I tell you, the snowplow. And you notice how she had a tablet in her hand as well. Technology, that's what it is, man. She had a
trolling the snowplow.
Yeah. She hacked into the mainframe and I controlled the snowplow.
Sorry about these spoilers, guys.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I mean, we did warn you at the start, but so we do have the presentation. Katie's crying. And then everyone's like, what the fuck? Oh, you've ruined everything. Oh, my God, it's all shit. But then McGraw comes out and is like, tell me something nice about your parents. She's like, And she like as she plays it back, and she's like,
Yeah.
I will always keep it right here. And then she sings a song, right?
She sings. I've got one of two songs written down, but I don't know which one she sings at this point.
Okay.
So obviously she sings "Titanium" by David Guetta, which I did not make the connection until I was doing research.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't make the connection at all until I was like, oh yeah, of course that makes sense because she's made of titanium.
That was.
Yeah.
I think that was when she got bitten by the dog, wasn't it?
Maybe
Because she was in bed. She was in bed and she was singing to her in bed like, I am titanium.
Maybe it might have been then, and then she sings "Diamonds" by Rihanna, doesn't she?
I think that was.
Was it that in this scene, the presentation
I think
scene?
that might have been this scene then.
Right, yeah. It's been about 3 weeks since we've seen this.
Yeah, it's a little bit late recording, but yeah. But I think that's this scene that she sings that then, yeah. Because one of them is definitely Titanium. She sings to her when she's in bed.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that might just been after the dog bite. Because then that's when she decides, I'm going to go kill this fucking dog.
And then later in the film, when she's killing people, she sings "Fuck the Police" by NWA.
Does she?
Spoiler alert. No, she doesn't. Joking.
That would have been cool. I didn't notice that.
No.
Fuck the police. Oh, fuck the... yeah, and then all of a sudden, like the hard as ass chairman is like crying. He's like, "That was beautiful. Oh my god, it was beautiful."
Oh yeah.
You know, and then he decides, you know what?
Yeah, I'll let you.
Oh, he just decides, you know what? Yep, take as much as you need. We're going to release this shit. Everyone get a presentation ready, like official release, official launch. Get this bitch in front of a lawyer because she's going to want to negotiate a new contract. This is the toy of the fucking century. And then we find out.
Didn't she say something like Katie is a important asset now or something like that?
Was it Katie or was it Jallison?
Probably both of them.
Maybe, I guess.
Yeah. One of them, they said, "Oh, she's an important asset to this company now."
I know that he said that about Jallison,
right?
Because he's like, yeah, she's going to want a fat paycheck, isn't she? Because of this, yeah. And then we find out that Ronny Chieng's assistant has been doing corporate espionage.
Yeah, he's a mole.
Yeah, which is
moly mole.
Which is how the competition has managed to like one up them, like make their same things, but for so much cheaper and stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
So he sends them all the information for Megan, which is where I'm sure the sequel is going to come from. But we will talk more about that right at the end.
I mean, obviously he dies.
He dies, but he sent the email off. He already sent the information off. But we'll touch upon more of that at the end because there's another little nugget in there. I
wanted to ask about the songs.
Go.
It's not particularly interesting, but I'm assuming she's heard the songs on the radio or something.
Or they're on the internet. I'm guessing she's connected to the internet, isn't she?
But can she sing the songs as Rihanna?
I mean, yes, she can put on voices, can't she?
She some voices, so she doesn't sing Diamonds by Rihanna as Rihanna.
Maybe because she's like, well,
right.
Yeah, A, copyright, but B, that's probably not what Katie needs right now. She needs me.
Megan's voice.
She needs my voice rather than hearing Rihanna sing. just me basically playing a song for her, you know?
Yeah, so just a little thing at sport.
She needs me to comfort her. She doesn't need a radio. So, yeah. But I'm guessing she probably could. Yeah. I mean, she could obviously put voices on. Like, she learns the neighbour's voice and stuff like that, doesn't she? Yeah. But then, so we get out of the meeting and they're having hot dogs. And Katie and Megan are all cool and playing and everything like that now. And Jallison's just like, hey, just quickly, can we talk quickly? And Katie's like, what? And then they're carrying on playing. And then she's like, Megan, bitch, turn off. And Katie's like, what the fuck, yo? What's up with you, man? Like,
this is totally how they speak in the movie.
Yeah, this is like verbatim.
Yeah.
But yeah, then this is where Jallison's like, I've really let you down, haven't I? Because she saw her crying in the presentation, and she's like, I haven't been there for you. I need to be there for you a little bit more. And then Katie's like, yeah, whatever, sharp. Megan, turn on. And then we start playing again. And then Katie, Jallison's like, oh crap, she's really far gone now. She's like super like, dude, we haven't seen the other bitch yet. The bitch scene hasn't come back up yet, but she's already starting to notice something slightly wrong.
Uh-huh.
And then Dog woman, but I can't remember how that comes about.
She's out at night, isn't she, looking for the dog?
Yeah, but why did she decide to murder her? I can't remember.
Because she was threatening, isn't she? Like that thing, that doll's looking at me all day, you know, something like that.
Something along those lines. I'm assuming that she must have said something about Katie as well, right? Because
probably.
I don't think Megan's shown any. Not at this point. She hasn't shown any semblance of self-preservation.
But it was still her dog that led to Katie getting hurt.
I guess maybe, yeah. But then, but basically, she gets drawn in to the garage.
Yeah. Dog noises.
By dog noises, yeah. And then she's like, well, what? She walks in, and then this creepy little fucking robot girl steps out, and she just takes the time to just like start like having a conversation with it instead of going, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm having this conversation in public. But yeah, so she basically confronts the owner of the dog. And he's like, where's my dog? And Megan's like, oh, she's 100 yards from here in the woods, buried 3 feet in the ground. So, yeah, I basically killed your dog, bitch. And then the woman starts freaking out. And then something that always annoys me in films and stuff like that, she uses a nail gun to shoot her from across the room. That is not how nail guns work.
Right. How many people know that, though?
But every time I see this in a film, people just are shooting nail guns like this. That is not how a nail gun works. A nail gun needs to be pushed up against the surface in order for it to work. If you just pull the trigger on a nail gun, it will do nothing. It will just go... just basically pump out air.
Okay, yeah.
You need to have connection with the joint, and then that's what pushes the thing into the ground. That's what then, because it engages.
So you should have gone up to her and done it
in her face.
Okay.
Yeah. So I always see that in films, and it always annoys me when they shoot them from across the room with a nail gun. So yeah, but anyway, she does that, and then the jet washer from right at the start comes back in, and she basically murders her by spraying her to death with all of these chemicals right in her face.
Lovely.
Yeah, horrible way to die, I imagine.
I imagine this is the point where Allison, Gemma, is like, right, there's something seriously wrong here.
This happens afterwards, doesn't it? Because the police officer comes round and knocks on the door, and she's like, I don't know anything about the damn dog, and he's like, I don't think that's going to be a problem anymore. And then you see her being wheeled into the ambulance, and she's like, holy shit. And then she talks with the detective, and the detective's like, you know, what's going on, blah, blah, you had some beef with and he's like, yeah, but it was about a dog, I'm not going to kill her and stuff like that. And then he was like, and her name, and he was like, weren't you there with that future serial killer the other day? And she was like, what? Yeah, but you're not thinking there's a connection. He's like, no, just weird coincidence that both of them were killed. And she was like, but he tripped and fell in front of a car, right? It was an accident. And then the detective's like, I'm not so sure about that. We found his ear like 300 yards away from the crime scene. So yeah, it seems like he might have been killed. Anyway, see you later.
Yeah.
So, and then that's when she's like, what the, hang on, wait a minute. No, something's going a bit doolally here. And then that's when she logs in to try and see the GPS data, and it's all been corrupted, and the recordings have all been corrupted and everything like that. And then she's like, something might be wrong. And then, yeah, she does Megan comes in and is like, what's wrong? You seem like you're a bit distressed. And then she's like, they're talking about something. I can't remember exactly what they're talking about. But then she's like, Megan, turn off. And then Megan's like, well, hang on a minute. I thought we were having a conversation here. And then it's like, oh, shit, she can, like, bypass orders and stuff like that now. Holy crap. You know, like, and then she does the whole pen thing. Like, look at this pen. And then she like turns her off, like the hard turn off on her body, I'm guessing. And then wraps her all up and then takes her in.
Takes her to the factory.
Yeah, and then that's when Katie's losing her shit. Like, what? Like, you know, basically, like I said, take a tablet away from a kid and you'll see what we're talking about. And then that's when they drive to the toy place, and it just so happens to be on the night of the presentation, the launch. Sorry, the official launch, isn't it?
Official launch, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then this is where everything starts going to crap. This is
Pete Tong.
Yeah, so they take her in for diagnosis and they hook her up to this like rack that's got all these wires, and so they can plug her into the computer and stuff like that. Meanwhile, Allison takes Katie upstairs to the room, and Katie's freaking out and she's flipping out and she's losing her shit. And then this is where Bitch decides to show up again. Like, no, Bitch did show up earlier, didn't she? Sorry. Yeah, because Megan was in the room, wasn't she? Yeah, because Megan gave her the tissue and then she's like, you made her cry and stuff like that. Yeah. But I'm sure that Bitch was there again.
She was in the White Room.
While she was absolutely losing her shit, right? Yeah. Yeah, she was in the room while she was losing. So we got 3 scenes with Bitching. Because she was in the room while she was losing her shit. I remember that. And Katie's, Jallison's like, you know, fuck this, I've got shit I've got to do, you know. And then this is where she eventually calms Katie down, gets her all sorted out, and says, look, I haven't been there for you. It's just you and me, yeah?
Yeah.
We don't need M3Gan, all right?
Model 3 generative Android.
What does the N stand for? Oh, is it? Oh, Android, right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's just lazy. Technically, her name should be Mega.
Yeah.
Using 2 letters on Android and not on anything else.
E does get used, but not.
That was very clever. Well done.
It wasn't clever. I just wrote it down on the Wikipedia page.
Oh, I didn't bother doing that. See, maybe you should present this show.
Definitely not.
But and so they get in the car and they start to drive off, and Jallison tries to call her co-worker, but the call doesn't get picked up by her co-worker. It gets intercepted by Megan, who, in her head, I'm guessing, or in the internet, in the cloud somewhere, imitates her co-worker's voice and is like, yeah, cool, thanks for letting us know, no worries, I'll keep an eye on it, blah, blah, no worries, it's all good. And then her co-worker sees the call ending and she's like, that was weird, but she doesn't try to call her back. She just goes, that was weird, and then just basically goes about her work. And then the 2 other employees find that Megan has like, you know, oh man, she's been doing some bad shit. But then she shuts down the system inside the building and they're like, oh shit, she's still wired in. She's blocking me out. So someone has to go and unplug her from the system. So the man eventually, after being a pussy, goes up to try and unplug her. And she's like, he unplugs her and they're like, okay. And he unplugs the rest of the wires and he's like, ooh, and he turns her back on her. And then the computer comes back on, and the other co-worker's like, bitch, move, she's still alive! And it's like, and then he like gets jammed in with something like electrocution or something, like he gets electrocuted or something. Starts to take him around, and then he's like being hung, and then she's like fighting the other co-worker, and then like eventually she like breaks the fire system, so it starts pouring CO2 into the room or something like that. But then Megan runs away, and the female co-worker gets the male co-worker down eventually, and then we cut away from them. We start following Megan, basically.
Yep.
And that's when Megan starts going through a homicidal rampage through the building. Yep. And that's where we get the dance scene.
So if you could call me back today, that would be great. Megan? What are you doing?
The meme.
Yeah, the viral meme of the dance. And yeah, she starts going around. She kills Ronny Chieng with a guillotine from a. Do you remember you used to have them at school? Did you ever have them at school? Those types of guillotines?
Yeah.
But yeah, she rips the blade off of that basically and starts murdering people with that. So she murders Ronny Chieng. There you go.
Yeah.
And he dies in front of the lift doors that open
when the mole.
Yeah, the assistant is there in the elevator, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And then Megan is like, "Oh, yeah, you," and then she's like, "Oh, but I didn't kill him. You did." And then she explains like, "Oh, you've been selling secrets, and then when he found out, you couldn't let that get out, and so you decided to kill him, and then you turned the blade on yourself." And she makes him basically kill himself, which is pretty badass. I like that scene.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool because it was cold and calculated. It was cool. I like that. And then she exits the building as all of the crowds of people that they've hired for this presentation, this launch, see the two dead bodies in the lift. And like that. She just leaves the building, gets into like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or something like that.
Really nice flying car.
And then, this little 10-year-old girl that can't even see over the steering wheel basically just drives this car back to Allison and Katie's house, where after all of this, everything's fine. They decide they're going to be okay. Katie's gone to bed, and all of a sudden, Megan starts playing the piano. And what song is she playing? No, you don't know this one, Dan.
I can't remember. What was it?
Toy Soldiers.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then we all fall down like toy soldiers.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then, and then she's like, you're being really bad and shit. I thought we were having a conversation, and then you go and do this, trying to be all like, civilized and everything like that. And then she starts to get a little bit violent and a little bit psychotic and a little bit scary. I thought it was really good acting. I really liked it, actually. She tries to do the pen trick again. And she's like, "Bitch, that won't work." And slams her head on the table. And then Katie's like, "What's going on?" She comes out of her room and she's like, "I heard noises." And she's like, "Oh," Jallison's like, "I thought I heard, no." Megan's like, if she comes in this room,
I'll kill you.
I'll tear your fucking head off or something. Yeah. And then she's like, "Oh, I remember what you said about Megan, and I'm trying to fix her and everything like that, and everything's cool, and just go back in your room, don't come in here." And then Megan's like, "Oh, I'm all in pieces. You don't want to see me like this. Everything's terrible." And Katie's like, "Okay." And she goes back to bed. And then Megan and Jallison fight it out, and they start having fisticuffs, and then eventually it spills over into the spare room where Megan was built.
Yeah.
And she gets a hedge trimmer, and she like into her head and like rips out chunks of her hair, and like that's when her face starts to Terminator-esque.
Red Terminator / Chucky-esque.
Yeah. Starts to come across, and then just when all seems lost, when Megan looks like she's gonna kill. Oh no, she's not gonna kill her. This was something that I thought was funny. So Megan's clearly not that smart, because she's talking about like, because Jallison says, "What do you think is going to happen here? You're going to kill me, and then you and Katie are going to go and live with what's his face's parents, the dad's parents." And she's like, "Yeah, I know you're right. I've been thinking about this, and any situation in which you die is not very beneficial for me. But one thing I've been thinking about is basically if I paralyze you and basically make it so that you can't move and turn you into a vegetable, basically, with this pen in a certain spot in your brain, I'll basically turn you into a vegetable. And then I'll look after you. I'll look after you, and Katie will, and I'll look after Katie as well." But the thing that makes me think is, what does she think? How does she think that will work? Oh, this woman's a vegetable. She can no longer look after children. We've got these two people here that can look after her perfectly fine. Or we've got this toy that can look after both of them.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. So they're kind of going in.
Yeah.
That,
So even in this scenario where she thinks, well, if I paralyze you and turn you into a vegetable, then I'll still be all right. We'll all live here together. Well, no, it's clearly not going to happen, is it? You know, they're not going to turn around and say, oh, yeah, we'll live the palliative care with this toy.
I'm guessing that someone else would look after them and Megan would still be there.
But I'm sure that, they would not let Katie stay there. They would move her off.
You wouldn't leave the kid in the care of a toy, come on.
Yeah, it's stupid. But anyway, Katie comes in and she's like, what are you doing? And then Megan's like, this is the only way we can all be together. Come on. And then it looks like, and she's like, we can do it together. And then it looks like Katie's like, yeah, okay, we can do this. And then I get to be with Megan and stuff like that. And then Jallison's like, no, Katie, no, and stuff like that. And then Katie's like, oh, but there's one more member of the family that you haven't met yet. His name is Bruce. And she's like, turns on the gloves, and Bruce comes into life, this massive, huge robot, and he starts beating the shit out of Megan, you know, he's like wailing on her, picking her up and fucking bashing her around, and then he rips her in half, and then, unfortunately, he falls over on top of Jallison.
Yeah.
And then Jallison's pinned, and she's like, oh, fuck. And then Megan starts coming for Katie again, and she's trying to get out from under Bruce. And this is what I was saying, that I didn't really like the Chekhov's gun payoff with that, is I think that they should have destroyed her with Bruce, not just been like a brief speed bump.
Right, okay.
I didn't really like the whole slight distraction of it. Like, oh, well, that was a bit annoying. Well, anyway, carrying on. Now I'm going to kill all of you, you know. And then, like, what does she have? She gets her face ripped off. Megan gets her face ripped off, and you can see all of the inners and the computer and everything like that. And Katie jams something into like a screwdriver or something into the central processing unit, and that's it. Megan drops. Megan goes down. Boom. And then we escape the house just in time to see the co-workers outside with an ambulance ready to help everyone. And then we get the closing scene, which is where I'm saying the sequel comes in, where her special her own designed Alexa, basically, remember, that controls her entire house. Yeah. Starts blinking into life with Megan. We're led to believe that Megan's her consciousness has gone through the internet and is living in the internet still. You know, a la what's his face? Ultron from the Avengers. You know, he was living in the internet. Remember?
Yeah.
So, and that's where I think the sequel is going to come in, because you've got the email that's gone out with all of her specifications, and her consciousness is still living inside the internet, hiding out.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, there's some way to get to a sequel, but as you said, you have a point about the mode passing on the information. That might be as well. Yeah, part of it.
I think what's going to happen is that they're gonna, in the sequel, they're going to have found a way to have like made it cheaper or something like that, and they're like mass producing them and stuff like that, and then eventually her consciousness will make its way back into one of the Megans or something like that, and then, you know, it'll be like,
we'll see. I mean, they announced the sequel pretty quickly, didn't they? So they'll see.
Very well, this film, didn't it? So yeah, we'll talk about just how well it did in a minute, but yeah. So that brings us to the end of the film. So yeah, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it was good. It was good fun. It had funny moments in it. A few scary bits. A few gory bits, bit of everything, really. Yeah, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, good. Me too. I really like this film. I thought it was cheesy and camp, but in the right kind of way. You know, it knew what it was. It didn't try to be anything too serious, but it wasn't anything too silly as well. It was just the right amount. You know, it was silly when it needed to be. It was serious when it needed to be. Like, she did seem legitimately threatening at certain parts, you know, like I could buy like the threat of her, but then it's still like, it's a fucking toy, You know, it's a little girl. You know. So this is my question: just how strong is a robot?
It's made of titanium, so you know.
I mean, it's made of titanium, but it doesn't have like muscles. It has like actuators and stuff, right? Like pistons and things that makes it move. Yeah.
I want to be able to fight with a robot.
But I mean, how powerful can it be at that size? I mean, I guess a jack can lift a car. So maybe, yeah.
It's powerful and smart as well.
Well, not that smart. It thought that, you know, I can turn you into a vegetable.
Smart enough.
Yeah. But anyway, the point is, really good film. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very enjoyable. I'm glad that we watched it. Any changes that you would have made to make this a more scary film?
More scary? Yeah. I mean, it was violent enough as it is.
I think most of the violence is implied violence, though, isn't it? There's only a few bits I can think of that were genuinely like, ooh, like the ear. The bit with the ear was...
that was a bit, go away a bit there. There's only one scene in the film which I say I jumped at, even though there's like creepy moments and stuff. So maybe more of that. I don't look like I'm a big fan of jump scares anyway, but there wasn't a lot of genuinely terrifying moments.
Well, wait, what was the part that made you jump?
The dog jumping out, attacking Katie.
Oh, when it attacked. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So nothing to do with Megan, just the dog.
Just the dog.
The dog jumping out and attacking Katie. Yeah, that was the scene that made.
Even though it was totally obvious that it was coming.
Did I know about the dog's existence to that point?
Yeah, because it had already jumped up at the car.
No, that was the first. That was the one I'm talking about.
Oh, that one. Right. I thought you meant like the when through the fence
when you first see it.
Okay.
Just to attack the car.
Yeah, that made me jump as well. To be fair, yeah.
Good old jumps.
Just because it was so freaking loud as well.
Yeah. But other than that, there's not really a lot I would have changed. Obviously, I'm not saying this in terms of the film being scary, but I would have changed Johnstone to be a little bit more sympathetic.
Okay.
She seemed very cold through the whole film.
She seems to...
But I'm guessing they do that just to separate her and Katie.
I mean, I know, that's the whole purpose of it, isn't it? Is to make sure that there is a gap there for Megan to come in.
Yeah.
But I think like her character change throughout the film is so quick. It's just like I don't want kids. Shut up, bitch! I've got a big important meeting. Oh crap! I've really let you down. It's like very
but I'm sure anyone would be like that, right?
I don't know. I mean,
as much as say tomorrow that you have to take care of your sister's kids.
Mm-hmm. All of them? Oh, God.
Maybe just one of them.
There's too many.
But, obviously, as it, when it first starts, you'll be like, oh, no, I'm not sure I can do this or whatever. But, your goal will be to protect that child.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think that my life would be like, this is a bit annoying, isn't it? You're really getting in the way of the stuff that I want to do. To I love you.
I mean, she still cares about her through the whole film, obviously, but at the start of the film, she doesn't care enough.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Yeah, the lack of emotion she shows throughout the film was something that bothered me.
So just a little bit more of a sympathetic character.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Doesn't really make the film scarier, but
that's what I'm getting at as well. Yeah.
No, that's fine. We'll move on. So we talked about the success of it. So. How much do you think it costs to make?
Well, horror films don't usually cost much to make. I'm going to go at least under 30 million to make.
Yeah, you're right. Well under.
It's under 20 million.
Well under.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
It cost $12 million.
$12 million. There you go. Yeah, and it made a lot more than that.
Well, as of the beginning of February, I can't remember exactly what date. I didn't write it down. It had grossed worldwide $125 million.
There you go.
So that's what, over 10 times its amount?
Over 100. million more than it cost to make. So yeah, obviously. You see why I got a sequel?
Very successful. You can see why it got a sequel for sure, yeah. Do you think that this is going to be a new horror franchise, or do you think it's just going to be a 1 and a 2 kind of thing?
I'm not really sure at this point. I mean,
are they going to try and tie it into a universe?
Possibly. I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, it was a massive success straight out the gate. I mean, that trailer was, pretty popular.
Yeah.
The dance went viral, as you said. So, we had a lot of attention on this film straight out the gate. So, yeah, I don't see why it couldn't become. I mean, it depends, I think, on what happens in the second one.
Mm-hmm.
If the second one's any good or not. Although that's been a problem in the past with some horror franchises.
What kind of universe could you put it into? Who owns Chucky?
Oh, I'm not sure. But Megan against Chucky would be interesting.
Megan versus Chucky.
I mean, Megan would kick Chucky's ass, to be honest. But then Chucky can do. Chucky can be active at all times, can't he?
And he's small and wiry.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't see why it couldn't become a franchise. As long as it continues to make the money,
That's what everything is, what all of these industries are about. Okay, so give me a rating then out of 10. What do you think?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to go for, I don't really like giving half ratings, but I'm going to go for a 7.5.
Good score.
I don't think it was quite 8 out of 10.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
So, this, as of the beginning of February, was given a 6.6 on IMDb.
Okay.
Now, the prerequisite of this podcast is we are doing the top horror films of all time on the IMDb users list. Now, this is not technically on that list yet because it's a new release. However, extrapolating its score, it would put it in the mid 140s on that list. So 140, between 143 and 146. Greatest horror film of all time.
Okay.
Happy with that?
At the moment, yeah. I mean, it's a relatively new film, isn't it? But I enjoyed it, I mean, if I had to make a list of 100 horror movies that I enjoy right now, I imagine that might make it.
Yeah.
If I had to really think about it.
Well, I think I'd be quite happy to put it a little bit higher, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, 6.6, it's about average. I mean, I'd probably go a little bit higher, maybe say a 7. I quite enjoyed this film quite a lot. So it was given 94% fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes and an audience score of 79%. But yeah, I thought that this was a very good film. I'd kind of agree with most of those scores. I'd probably maybe put it a bit higher on the list, probably a bit more than 140s. I'd probably
It's very hard to judge when I haven't seen the full list as well.
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, maybe one day we will release...
I mean, I put it higher than Interview with A/the Vampire. I can tell you that right now.
Well, I can tell you that it's not higher than that, technically.
It's not,
But fair enough. Okay, so that brings us to our final question. Tom, did this film terrify you?
It had its moments, but no, not really.
Well, I certainly hope you enjoyed that different format and a little bit of a fresh look at a new film as well. Hopefully you enjoyed that as much as you do our usual content. Tom, I want to thank you for joining me once again.
Thank you for having me.
We will see you again on the next one.
I'll be back.
And, Terminator all over, aren't we?
There you go.
Until then, sleep tight.
Thank you everybody for watching. Like and subscribe for more content like this. Then check out the video suggested for you or watch this playlist to discover more from the channel. This has been a Rich T Entertainment production.